Lent has started, so is anything kind of, I don't know, getting more intense in the exorcism world?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It usually does, and it kind of hits a crescendo on Holy Week leading up to Easter. So a lot of new cases popping up. That's typical. People looking for help, people that have gotten into trouble, and then some of the poor people that have been kind of seduced into thinking these creatures are friends, which they're not. They only play a con on people until they turn on them later when they have enough control over them, and then you find out they're not your friend. But there are some people that think the demons are friendly to humans, that kind of think they're the good guys or want to work with them and get favors or power. And so we see an uptick in occult group activity, and some of that involves minor crimes. So, either defacing things or leaving objects in places, sometimes breaking statues, defacing statues. So there's different things, and of course every diocese watches out for this. There's cameras these days everywhere, just like in our homes. There's cameras everywhere, and we take care of it every year, but there's a lot more activity with the demons and also with the people involved in the occult.
Adam, let's face it, we all know about screen addictions. We all know now about AI, because everything is AI generated now, it seems as though. So why don't we just spend this last 2 minutes before the first break and just kind of set the stage, the foundation for this discussion?
Yeah, so, all right, so screen addictions, and before either I forget or we get too busy with the show, if you're interested, I had what I think, hopefully I did a decent job, but I had an interesting dialogue with one of the AIs about the very question of not only screen addiction, but AIs kind of feeding on or encouraging mental illness or bad choices, like going off your psych meds, things like that can really have harmed people.
Sure.
And it's a fairly long, I copied and pasted it into my blog on religiousdemonology.com. I try to, write at least once a month there. But there's some interesting things, in the AI itself was, very straightforward about why AIs are dangerous, in what circumstances they're dangerous, and the difference between a static AI and a live one. We don't have time to unpack all that. But essentially, they're kind of static, passive pieces of code that only respond when they get an input. If they're a static AI, they're not living and breathing and waiting and thinking about things to do in the future. They're just waiting for an input, and then they produce an output. And those static AIs, they don't change. So there's an interesting bit in there about kind of the difference between the static and the live, and that the live ones, in theory, are more dangerous because they kind of can develop unforeseen goals and actions. So, but it's very real, Deb. This is one of the areas, like when I was in grad school, and I know we're going to run out of time here, but when I was in grad school in adult clinical psychology, I have a master's in adult clinical psych, all but dissertation for the doctorate. It was the beginning of like optimizing interfaces. It wasn't AI back in those days, but it was optimizing interfaces. And there was a lot of interest from the computer world, corporate world, to use psychology and what psychology has figured out about human engagement and interaction, and optimizing that to maximize kind of the ease of things, but also the engagement and keeping the person engaged in what they're doing. And that's taken to a whole new level with AI. It's clearly designed to keep people locked onto their phone because they're selling advertising. And so, of course, they're going to optimize engagement and try to lock you in. But unfortunately, the laws take a while to catch up. And it's causing problems because when we're very young, we're very vulnerable to these effects.
Yeah, very susceptible.
What you just heard is possible because of faithful listeners who support this mission every month. And right now, we are inviting people to become founding guardians of GRN, helping protect Catholic media from the very beginning. You can learn more at grnonline.com/guardians.